All right.
That's funny. We were literally just on a meeting not more than 5 minutes ago. So
Well,
hopefully he'll be in.
he'll, I see I mean, he got the same message I did with the Zoom link earlier, so he should, he should know.
Yeah,
He probably is just getting his dinner ready at the same time, so he'll have
probably.
something to do during the meeting.
Yeah.
All right. Well, here we are. I'm going to call this meeting to order, a meeting of the Board of Trustees for Fast Forward Charter High School. This is Thursday, December 5th, 2024. It's about 4:05, and we'll begin with just a little bit of a roll call. So I'm Rich West, Board President, and we'll just go around the room here.
I'm Hannah Dollinger, parent.
Alex Garrett, Vice Principal.
And Teresa, it looks like you've joined us. Is that correct?
I just joined. I am so sorry. I've been distracted with some of Brian's activities today. Sorry.
Hey, we're glad to have you.
Yeah, no
Thank you.
worries.
Thanks. Yes, I'm here. I am Teresa Olson. I'm a board member.
Wonderful. Thank you. Ryan?
Yeah, Ryan Marchant, business manager.
And we have one other board member, Lynn Hobbs, who is scheduled to join us. We will acknowledge him as soon as as soon as he joins the online uh,
Meeting.
what? Yes, however whatever
Yeah,
we
the
call
online
it.
group.
All right, well, we're underway. So first item on the agenda is an FY24 financial audit review.
Hmm.
Ryan, I believe that's yours.
Yes. Thanks, Rich. So our audit committee discussed this, and it's been sent out prior to the board meeting today in an email from Alex. So hopefully you were able to get all of the stuff that I'll be presenting today, which would be mainly the audit and the financial statement. So the FY24 audit was completed. We did most of the field work back in September, and now this is the actual issued audit. Um, we had another good audit year. They came and as they always do, we've used Squire for a long time, 20 years probably or more. And they're a good auditor, and they know our school very well and how we function and how we operate. So we have a good relationship with them. But the first couple pages here, and I won't, because we discussed this in so much detail in the audit committee meeting, I won't go through a lot unless there were some real issues that we needed to talk about here. But Alex, you can just kind of scroll through the first couple pages there, and I'll just mention that these are just kind of what the aspects of the audit is, what they do. They come in and identify, uh, all of our accounting procedures, all of our accounting entries. Essentially, they do verify things in different ways throughout external sources. Like, for instance, on our bank statement, they just don't take our word for it, but they actually, of course, send a letter to the bank and verify that what we're telling them is true too. So there's different things, of course, that they do that you're probably aware of, but this just kind of explains what their responsibilities are and then management's. Okay, you can kind of scroll down to let me just, you keep going, keep going. Yeah. In fact, I think let's go to the actual audit. This is just entries. These are just entries that we did. If you just actually pull up the audit report. Yeah, scroll down. You can go scroll up a little bit. Keep going. Keep going. Oh, go down. Sorry. Let's try to hit some highlight. Here's some highlights. Here we go. So, actually, go down one more, just a little bit, Alex. Just to the first, right there. Stop. Perfect. Um, this is basically our balance sheet is essentially what it is. But you can see for the school year 2023 versus 2024 comparative, you can kind of see the assets that we had, and then of course the deferred outflows and inflows, current liabilities, long-term liabilities, and then it kind of all nets out for a total net asset position. Now, of course, you want to always see positive numbers, and we have those. So, for instance, at the end of 2023, we had a 1.743 net asset position. And then at the end of 2024, we had a 2.412 net asset position. So we essentially we increased our net assets by almost $670,000 during the 2024 school year, which is good. Slightly down from what we did in 2023, was just a little over a north of a million, about 1.1. So, but we did have some increases in expenses. So let's go down to the next page there, Alex, and that will kind of right there. This will kind of talk you through the income statement a little bit. So you can see revenues were up, but so were expenses, and especially in our instruction category by about $960,000. We hired additional people, gave out raises, and just a lot of it was staffing, bringing staff members up to par with some of the surrounding districts that we needed to keep some of our good people. So a lot of that is just variable costs. Our fixed costs don't move much. It's a pretty simple thing. It's our facility that's just fairly fixed. So that's the interest on our long-term debt there. You can see, and you can see we paid a little more interest, but that was due to, I think, a copier lease that we paid off. So anyway, net asset position at the end of the year, $2.4 million versus 1.74, which we talked about, $668,000. So those are kind of the highlights that we have. And without getting into, hopefully you'll have a chance to review a lot of this on your own. If you really, I've said this many times before, and as we've discussed our audit, but if you really want to know about Fast Forward and how we function, especially financially, please read the notes to the financial statements. Those are full of detail, and they are full of information that you perhaps know about Fast Forward or didn't know. But if you'll go ahead and read those, and you will find out a lot of information about our school that we probably won't discuss today. A lot of it talks about participating in this retirement fund, which we do that, but there is a lot of compliance that comes along with participating in the retirement fund. So that's in there. But the long story short for here, and by the way, we didn't have any significant findings. In fact, I don't know if we had any findings for this audit period. So, and those letters are at the very bottom of we won't go to them now, Alex, but if you go to the very bottom, it talks about that, gives their opinions. The last two letters at the very bottom of the audit are their opinions on compliance with state law and the compliance on internal controls. So they come in and they do a lot of testing during their field work when they're here for a few days, and they test according to, a lot of it is what the state wants them to test on when they come in, and then of course internal controls. So they just make sure that we're following the laws and that we don't have material breakdowns in some of our internal controls, and in those they didn't have any findings for us. So again, a clean audit review. We did increase our net asset position again by about $670,000. Slight decrease from FY23, but still a very positive school, both financially and, of course, you can't have a positive financial result unless you're having a lot of success in the classroom too. So that's the audit. Again, Len and I discussed it at length. I'm surprised he's not here in our prior meeting, but I would encourage all board members to review that. We'll post this on our webpage as well. Alex will post that so that the general public can look at it. I mean, we have to post it to the state auditor's webpage as well. So it's several different places, but you have an email copy of it as well. Any questions on any of the audit? We don't need a vote on it. It's just kind of more informative. It's nice to review it with the board every year so they can kind of see what the actual results were once our financial statements were audited.
Okay, that looks good.
Gives us a lot of confidence that things are okay.
Yeah, good. And that's good. That's the whole point of being audited, is because, transparency and our, what we owe to the public as far as being transparent, but also, how tax dollars are managed. And hopefully we're doing an okay job there. So
I love the statement mortality rates. I
more,
appreciate that.
yeah. You must be reading down in the retirement section.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We're all just a mortality rate. We just don't know it. But at the end of the day, when auditors at the state retirement fund looked at us, they say, how much do I owe you and for how long? So anyway, if you don't have questions on that, you can always dial me up and any way you want. You can call Lynn, anybody, or Rich is always around. Um, so anyway, that's our audit for FY24.
I just can't think of a better way to occupy 85 pages.
Well, our audit went up significantly. It used to be about 25 or 30 pages, but then they decided there were a bunch of IRS rulings that came down, and they did decide that charter schools are indeed government or governmental agencies. So we're under a whole new accounting system, which is governmental accounting, GASB. We have to account under GASB, and that's when everything changed from like 25, so the disclosures went up, and especially with state retirement, that was one of the big disclosures that had to go up. So it made our audit a lot longer.
Well, am I completely mistaken when my memory suggests to me that we used to deal with about 6 or 7 pages of notes, and that was pretty much what we paid attention to in the audit.
Yeah, and
And
now it's substantial. Yeah, now it's
now
substantially
we got
more.
85 pages.
Yeah. Now we have 85 pages of notes. And again, it's because of the ruling that we had over GASB. And so now we've got to convert our financial statement to GASB at the end of the year when it's audited. And then and then the disclosure portion of it is pretty big. And just real quick, the reason for the stuff on the state retirement is because the state takes let's say for Alex's retirement, when we take the dollars that we put into Alex's retirement fund at the State Office of Education, we send the money to them. And at that point, it's out of our hand for the management of his defined benefit, meaning that promise to Alex is if you work 4 or more years, and we'll pay you X amount of dollars based upon the numbers of years you've served, based upon the wages the highest 3 years of your wage. So we don't manage any of that. They just basically say, this is the rate, you pay it for Alex or your employees, and then we manage it. And so when the stock market does well, they have enough, as their auditors get in there. And then, of course, as their projections come out, they say, okay, Alex is going to live till he's 85 or 90 or whatever that is. And this is how much he's invested, and this is how much that investment has grown. And typically Utah's pretty well managed, and so when someone goes to retire, they couldn't pay out 100% of their retirement based upon the earnings, but it's pretty close. It's probably 90 cents of that. For every dollar that they would owe Alex, they could pay out about 90 cents. But they say, so who's going to pay the dime that's Alex going to be short? And that's the big thing with all of this is it's like, well, we're gonna put that on the school's balance sheet as a liability because they're gonna pay the dime. But I can tell you, if they ever came to me and said, you owe, this, it would be a hard conversation to have because I never had any say over how it was managed. Does that make sense? So
Yep.
that's the big disclosure piece, and that is what is the liability that you occur from risk management or from the retirement system. And luckily for us, it's not very big. In fact, I need to dig into the numbers, but it's probably even less than that now. It's pretty close. I think it's almost dollar for dollar that they could pay out.
Well, and if it's not, they should invest better.
Yeah, or the stock market should do better. Yeah, you're right. Buy Bitcoin, right? I don't know how they manage it, but that's kind of the reason for the full disclosure on all of that. So
Well, wonderful. Thank you very much, Ryan. It doesn't require any action on our part other than to express our appreciation to you for keeping us in a positive light with respect to our audit. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Well, how about our FY25 financial update? We're back to you again, Ryan.
Yeah. Financials so far for this year. So that was last year that we just talked about. This is FY25. Hopefully you've had a chance to look through that. I'll just keep it brief here. Our revenues are above our projected by about 327,000. A lot of that came through a grant that we were kind of sitting on, just kind of waiting for the market to turn on the HVAC system. And it did. When we originally tried to do it, we couldn't even get an HVAC guy to come out to the facility. These are COVID dollars. And then when we rewrote the grant was coming towards an end, we rewrote the request for proposal, and we had several contractors sign up and come out because the market had kind of changed a little bit. So we were able to do that. So we put our all new rooftop units on our facility and use those dollars to do that, which was good. Some of the same things, that was about $200,000, by the way. And so some of the other things that we were kind of doing, you can kind of see that we run the CT program as normal. School land trust numbers have gone up to about $66,000. And then some of the other big pools of money are SPED funding. Our SPED funding has gone up significantly over the last several years. And in fact, we do have a carryover of about $155,000 from last year. Now, the plan, and we're still doing a little more research on this, but the plan as of right now is to use those carryover funds to pay for the new classroom space that we're going to do on the new portable, because that's going to be specifically used by SPED. Now, if it wasn't going to be used by SPED, we couldn't use those dollars for that. But as long as it's carved out for SPED students, then we can use those. So current head count's 484. Our October 1 head count was 441. So again, after that October 1 number came in, we after graduating 130 seniors or whatever we did, our numbers were way down, so we had to recruit that. Plus we've started to add back, so we're now at 484, just as more kids come to our door. So total expenses,
That's pretty current information as of yesterday.
Yeah, as of yesterday. Right, yeah, right, Alex. That's when Alex sent it to him. I can't imagine it's
Yep.
changed much from that.
Well, actually, I did just meet with this kid, so we're actually 485. They're starting on Monday, but
Well, there you go. It's even better news.
yeah, I mean, yeah.
Well,
When the
good.
kids come and meet, it's hard to not let them in. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, Lynn and I were talking about this in our last meeting. I wish he was here. We were going down memory lane there for a minute about just the history of the school and all that it's done. But with the graduating class last year was pretty big. In fact, why don't you go down to real quick to the graph page real quick? It looks like it's hard to look in there because is that 136 seniors, Alex?
yeah, it is.
And 170 something juniors.
Yeah, 172 juniors.
So our graduating class this year could very well be bigger than the one last year, right?
It could be. Of the kids we graduated last year, 30 were graduating juniors, and I would expect about that same number to come out of that 172. So it will be pretty close, if not larger than what we graduated last year. So
Yeah, that's a big number of students. That's a lot of kids.
and it's great.
So kudos to the team for getting that number back up there to 485, because if you think about all the numbers of kids that we graduate and then we have to recruit back to that, that's a good.
Interesting thing to note right now too is of that 184, there's roughly 100 full-time online students.
Yeah.
And with that, like, we hired an additional counselor to manage those 100 kids. She has 2 outreach paras that are in daily contact with each kid, making sure they're logging in, getting the help they need. They can come into the school to get help if needed to. And so even though that number is big, our in-person, is roughly 385. We have about 200 kids that come in the AM, and then 170-ish that come in our PM, and then about 15 that come to our evening, which is awesome. So kind of just the
That's great.
breakdown for you. So
Yeah, no, that's very helpful information. Thank you. Um, you can see our cash position um, there, and and then just the financial stuff that's kind of behind it. So if you want to just scroll down a little bit further there, that's the balance sheet, and then of course the income statements underneath it, and then the last ones, and you don't need to go all the way down there, Alex. It's just a kind of a P&L by class. So we have to track certain funding formulas by class, meaning they have their own separate little income statement, and that's like SPED and well, actually probably all of our funds that we receive from the state are broken down into these different little pots that you have to track individually. But this is just a portion of the important ones that we give you. And then the last page is the allotment memo, which just kind of shows you the funds that we've received and in what category. So again, I would encourage you to look at both the audit and the financial statement. Lynn and I reviewed these. He's reviewed it prior to coming on to our meeting today. Net income is about 680,000 at this point for the year. So kind of close to right there, 654,000. Thanks. Versus a 521 for our budget. So we are above our budget there. We're on pace to do something similar to what we did last year, although we will be paying for our portables, so that'll change things up significantly towards the end of the year. We'll keep you aware of that. But our net income probably won't be quite as much, but it'll show up different on our audit because of the way that it's accounted for. But just suffice it to say that hopefully we can pay most of that out of earnings for this year. We'll kind of see where we are, but I think a lot of that portable that we're buying we can pay out of just earnings this year.
Hey, if you go to the scroll up to the income, what page is this? It's page 1.
On the income statement.
On the income.
Yeah, go below the balance sheet.
Profit and loss budget versus actual.
Yeah, keep going right there.
Okay, that first line is RIME, is that an accounting term, or is that supposed to be one-time discretionary?
I'm trying to find it, Rich.
Right under the word, look at the left.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know if rhyme was an accounting term. I kind of like it.
That's a good catch. I like that. Rich, I can always count on you to find stuff like that. That is great. One rhyme. Yeah, that's supposed to be one time. We'll go in.
It's very poetic.
I don't know if I'll even fix it. It just kind of rolls right off your tongue. I think I might just
does.
keep it in there.
I like it. All right.
All righty. That's all I have. Any questions on that?
All the numbers look reasonable to me, and I know you and Lynn have gone over them too, so.
Yeah, we have.
Tell me, before we leave this, have you been following what's been happening in the trust lands area?
A little bit, but not a lot. Tell me what you know.
I'm not sure that I know as much as I'd like to, but there are some ideas about distributing the trust lands funds a little differently than they have been in the past, and the way they're investing them. And I haven't studied it carefully enough, so I was wondering if you had.
Yeah, I haven't either. I've heard that there were going to be some changes, but I haven't seen any detailed plan on that.
Okay. I
Let us
just,
know what you hear and if that's going to change in a significant way. We do use that to fund one of our positions here at the school that we probably wouldn't have without it. But
well, it's such an important and valuable source of revenue, and I'm just worried that um, there are some politicians who believe that they know how to manage those resources better than the people who've been doing this for the past few years. And if we get to the way it was managed during most of the history of this state, it'll all be gone before long. So,
yeah, it seems like it's been managed so well the last. I mean, distributions are up significantly. It seems
the
like it's
last 30 years have been great, but prior to that, I mean, I think I've said this to you before, but our analysis a number of years ago was that if we had managed our trust lands from the beginning of statehood, as well as we've managed them for the past 30 years, we wouldn't have to levy a nickel of tax to support education, and we would have several times over the amount of money we have now to support education.
oh wow, that's phenomenal.
So I just worry that some politicians are going to see that this is a, a, a bucket of money that we ought to be spending and will evaporate what we have, and our future won't look as rosy as it does.
Yeah, I hope that doesn't change. I'm with
Yeah.
you on that, Rich, for sure.
All right. Well, thank you very much once again. Appreciate that
Yeah,
information.
thanks to the support of the board.
Now, Teacher and
Yeah,
Student Success Act.
yes, this is me again. So we do have a quorum. I guess we can vote. Is that correct?
Yep.
Awesome. So the Teacher and Student Success Act is something that we need to approve every year. It's a pile of funds that we get, and I think it's about $160,000 that we'll be receiving this year. It is. It's $162,242, of which we do have to get it approved by the board every year, and then we upload it into the system, and then they'll approve us for it. Now it's within those funds, the allowable costs are you can use it for a lot of different things. Um, Ours we're going to actually use for number 4. So additional school employees, including counselors, social workers, mental health workers, tutors. So we're going to, Alex, if you want to go back to that page, we're going to use it for our additional employees, which are going to be Rebecca and who was the other one, Alex?
Maureen Fiafia.
Yeah. So we have 2 counselors. One's a social worker. I think they're both social workers, right? Or one's a social worker, one's a counselor.
Yeah, they're both. Maureen is she's in her final semester of school right now. So
Okay.
yeah.
So we can use 40% of it, so about 64,896 we will use to pay for increases that we gave for this last year. So we are already paying for that now in the form of just increased wages. The other 60% we can use as we're mentioning here in the form of social worker, well, actually 2 of them that we have for our students, which is a huge benefit to our school. And the 97,000 won't cover all of their wage and benefits, but it'll cover a good portion of it. So that's where we come up with the 162,000 that we're going to use with these dollars. So again, we try to keep it as clean and simple as possible for the board, and also the most effective use of funds. And we kind of, as we talked as a management group at this school, this is kind of what we decided that would be the most effective use for these funds. So that's what I'm proposing today to use the 2025 TSA funds of $162,000 for 40% go to salary increases, and then the remaining 60% to pay for our 2 social workers that we will have.
All right. Do I hear a motion to approve that proposal?
Yes,
Hannah?
yes, I'm to approve.
I hear
Well-
Hannah in introducing a motion to approve this proposal. How about a second?
I will second the motion.
And Teresa seconds. So any question on the motion? Do anyone in our group have a question about this proposal? In that case, I'll call for the vote. Those in favor of the motion to approve this proposed budget for the teacher and student success framework, say aye. Aye. I saw everybody who's here voting, so I think the voting is unanimous and the motion carries, obviously.
Thank
All
you,
right.
board. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Yeah. Equitable teacher distribution policy approval.
Okay, so this is
Who can object to anything with that name? It's very equitable.
up with Title I otherwise.
We're all about fairness.
So this is a policy that we had to do our Title I submissions, and this is one of those that in years past we could have a statement saying how all our students had access to every teacher and not just so that what they're really worried about is low-income students being paired with non-qualified teachers. The beautiful thing about our school is because there's only 14 teachers and every kid has to take every class that a teacher teaches, they're going to have every teacher. And we used to be able to just say that in a blanket statement, but they want this policy in place, just saying that we aren't going to unfairly put students of low-income households in with student teachers who are not highly qualified or qualified to teach. And so that's basically what this outlines, and just this is the state's guiding document that we just put our stuff in to adopt our verbiage.
And you have evidence that
Yeah, because literally every student will have every teacher at some point if they
don't
start.
get a choice.
They don't get a choice. Yeah. As Hannah and Teresa can attest, yeah, every kid gets every
Everybody.
teacher. So
I like that.
yeah, and it is nice. It's
It's good for them.
it is.
good.
This is just something that we have to submit to the state.
And you're following the template
Yeah,
the state provides anyway,
yeah, exactly. So,
right? Well, I would be happy to entertain a motion to approve this policy, the equitable teacher distribution policy. If anyone would care to make that motion.
I'll make the motion to accept the equitable teacher distribution policy that's been outlined.
Thank
for
you,
the SNP.
Teresa. A second?
I'll second the motion.
This is a little bit like the equitable teacher distribution policy, isn't it? Where we have equitable distribution of motions.
Yes,
Everybody gets to do something.
yes, we're feeling it, aren't we, Hannah?
Yeah.
Wonderful. Any further question? We need any clarification? Anything else? Any comments? Those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Once again, unanimous, so the motion passes. Well, we're buzzing right along. How about LEA specific licensing information and policy approval?
So in the same Title I stuff review that we're going through, we also have to say which teachers are on LEA specific, which means they aren't teaching a course that they went, or they are teaching a course that they didn't go to school to teach. But it's still within their scope, and we as an LEA can say, hey, the teacher is taking on the responsibility, working with a mentor to make sure that the courses are aligned to state standards and that they're teaching what they should be teaching for that course.
It's basically local authorization.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly right. So this is good for 3 years on these teachers, and the current ones that we're adding to the list are Drake Fanua. He's our biology teacher, and he is fully holds a professional license to teach biology, but he is teaching a weights class. He's a football coach at Green Canyon, and it's something that we feel our kids actually love the class. They take it. It's been a really good thing. And then
I thought it was a measurement class.
yeah,
Not
like the data, the drugs and dosage class over
Yeah,
at E-Tech or something. Yeah. No, it's not that one. It's a PE class. And then recently this year, Janice Smith has moved from working within the SPED department where she was highly qualified, and now she is working full-time as a mathematics teacher. Her and Emma Mueller co-teach together. And so, but when she was working in SPED, she was the SPED co-teacher in the math classroom. So she's working on currently getting her math endorsements and stuff, but for the time being, we would like to do an LEA specific license for her. So, and then everyone else had been previously on that list there at the bottom, had been previously approved by the board, but we just added these two to the list.
So are we considering approving the policy generally or these specific LEA issued licenses?
So it'd be the people, yeah. So the
Okay.
specific
Yes,
LEA,
right.
yes, exactly. You guys have previously approved the policy and how we go about doing that. And I will mention too, like our Apple coordinator, it's replaced like alternative licensing at the state level. Our Apple coordinator is Coley Rollins, and she like oversees all the teachers going through this program to make sure they're doing the things they need to be fully licensed in their period. And if we need to, we can renew LEA specific for certain teachers if we need to, but the state really wants us to not do it unless there's a true like need for
Rather than just license them.
yeah, we'd rather move them forward to get them a full license. And so really the only thing that's changed on the policy is the distribution here of the percentages. So we did have 2 teachers complete the Apple program, and they are on a 3-year associate license. That's Josiah Andrade and Tyson Budge. They have completed their requirements to receive their associate's license, and at their next renewal, they'll be promoted to a professional license. And they were previously on an LEA specific, the both of them. So
Okay.
that's the goal, is to move them up.
So if we were to introduce a motion for consideration, would it be moving to approve the LEA specific licenses for these 6 teachers, or
So
would it be
specifically
for the?
Drake Fanua and Janice Smith? 'Cause we've already done the other ones.
Okay, so just those 2
Correct,
teachers.
sorry, yeah.
Okay, and we wouldn't, and everything else has already been approved.
Correct.
Okay. So I'm
And-
prepared. Teresa, you sound like you are eager to
Yeah,
introduce a motion.
I would like to introduce a motion to accept the LEA specific licenses for those 2 teachers we've just discussed.
Wonderful. And a second?
I'd like to second the motion.
And I heard Hannah say that, so it's moved and seconded. Now, any further comments or clarification from anyone? In that case, I'll call for the question then. Those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Opposed? There can't be any because I could tell everybody voted for it. So another unanimous vote. And obviously the motion passes. So we're done there. So Drake and Janice should be celebrating.
Perfect, yeah, that would be great.
Good. We can actually pay them after all. All right. Alex, how about a principal's report?
So, I mean, we kind of covered one of the things I was going to talk about, which was the kind of breakdown of where each of those 484 kids are. The other really big thing is it does look like we will be able to move our, I mean, knock on wood, but it looks like the portables will be done either before break or during break, our winter break. And so we should be able to have the classrooms for term 4, starting at there in the middle of January. So the progress has been awesome. It looks really good out there. And I know the teachers are ready for classrooms, those the couples that have been floating. So it will be good. And that's really, I mean, I think we previously talked about our counselors and completing their guidance review. That went really well. We also, at the beginning of November, had a special ed review where they came in, audited our files, observed our teachers in the classroom, observed students, and we passed that with flying colors as well. So it's an awesome. Our sped team worked really hard to get ready for that, and just to celebrate them, they did a fantastic job. So, like always, there's little things we need to fix, but it wasn't anything to be overly concerned about. You know, there's the little things. Couple goals need to be rewritten to just have more specificity, so we can make sure kids are making progress. Making sure we check some boxes that we forgot to check in the forms. So all things considered, it's easy fixes, and they gave us great suggestions on moving forward. And the state team was also very impressed with our CTE program and how our CTE teachers work with kids with disabilities. And they're actually looking to bring back other teams from the state, and so they can kind of see what we do here. So that was pretty awesome.
That's good.
Feedback, I guess. So
Wonderful.
but other than that, we're just we have a wait list of about 50 kids as always. Like there's always kids wanting to come here. And I think we say it every time, but it's a great problem. It's not even a problem, but it's a great it's great to have. Like we're happy that
it's an
people see the
indication
value.
of
Yeah,
the value of the school.
exactly.
That's great.
That's really it. So
Any questions of Alex? Well, so I have one apology and one comment. The apology is I feel bad that this meeting is over in about 45 minutes. I think we could be able to string this out for a couple of hours and make us all feel like we've really been to
A board meeting.
a board in the sense of BORED.
ED. Right.
But owing to the fact that we have such a well-prepared staff and wonderfully in-tune board members, it doesn't take that long. But it would take a lot longer if you weren't all so well prepared. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate all of the work that you do. That's the comment part. We are fortunate to be affiliated with this school. And I think I can speak for the other board members where we're grateful to you and thankful. My professional reputation has improved considerably with my affiliation with the school. So thank you very much. People who used to think I was worth absolutely nothing now look at me and say, hey, you're not so bad after all. So thank you very much. Well, anything else, board members?
I don't have anything to add.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I'm going to declare this meeting concluded.